We are the Jersey Comic Crew, and we're bringing you the news, reviews of all your favorite comics, movies, and TV shows, still here in Quarantineville. And as always, I'm Chris Heller, and with me is...
Rob Moran from the other side of the world, or the other side of Jersey. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, we got a great episode for you. I just want to jump right in, because we actually have some stuff to talk about. We were making up topics this week. It's fantastic.
There's no top 5 this week. That's a legit week.
It's a legit week.
We're not throwing in the top 5.
Our first topic we're going to discuss, guys, is John Krasinski joining Marvel Entertainment, joining the MCU. Jim Halpert from The Office puts on the cape and comes to Marvel. Possibly.
Rumor meetings.
But let's talk about what we do know.
Yes.
We do know that Marvel has been taking many virtual meetings with prospective actors and actresses and other creatives, I'm sure, trying to figure out what they're doing next in their next phase, projects, whatever it may be, MCU related, TV show related, Disney Plus related. We don't know what they are. But we do know fan favorite John Krasinski, Jim Halpert from The Office, has been involved in some of these meetings.
Yep.
And if you're like us, we're freaking out because this means that we're getting John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic in the MCU, and we already are losing our minds.
But before we go deep dive into the possibilities of him as Mr. Fantastic and Fantastic Four, is there anyone else he could totally be? Like, they have to talk to him about a couple things, right? They're not just like, listen, John, everyone wants this, you want it, we want it, let's just do it. Like,
it could be just that simple.
That'd be great, especially right now where it's like you can't really do too much. But is there anyone else that you think he could be that isn't, Reed Richards?
I don't know, man.
Like with his look, it's just so perfect. With the beard and everything. Like there's some. I know once like everything's edited, we're doing this really tough. I got a picture where it's like him as Mr. Fantastic in there, so it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, somebody actually said Johnny Storm, and I'm like, no, shut your mouth. If he's in the Fantastic Four and he's not Mr. Fantastic, I don't want to hear your dirty voice again.
Or Ben Grimm, he's going to be the thing.
I've heard him maybe being an X-Men character, people are saying. Maybe a Gambit.
Interesting.
I can see the look of Gambit. I think it'll be great acting role for him to do that kind of. It's like so outside his wheelbox, and he kind of fits the build. His facial feature, you have a little stubble. It's fine. He's a good-looking man. I think he can pull off a Gambit. That's like my weird outside pick, if not Mr. Fantastic.
Okay.
I don't know why. It actually just came to me now. Like for the voice from the X-Men god Stanley's like, maybe Gambit. Hey! I'm like,
oh, Gambit, a raging Cajun. He's a raging Cajun.
I don't think I've ever heard Stanley say that, and I wish I did.
Yeah, he said it a bunch of times because he's a raging Cajun. I would say outside pick for me. I think if he shaved the beard, and went back to like the Jim Halpert look, not the babyface Jim Halpert, but adult Jim Halpert, I think he pull off Cyclops. In a big bad way.
Cyclops.
I think he can pull off Cyclops, and that still leaves the door open for his wife Emily Blunt, who's also a phenomenal actress, to either be an Emma Frost or a Jean Grey. If they wanted to get the two involved in Marvel?
Sure, as Emma Frost. I don't think it's Jean Grey. And everybody's on like this on her like oh, she's great. If John's in it, she'd be great for Sue.
Yeah, she doesn't have to be, right?
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't have to be. And I'm not that big of an Emily Blunt fan. I think she's good, but I don't think she's like God's gift to.
No, I agree 100%.
Emily Blunt.
But here's the Emily Blunt's everywhere. But here's the thing, like. So back when they were casting the original Avengers cast, Emily Blunt actually was one of the first choices for Black Widow, and she turned it down. That. And that opened the door for Scarlet, who is now like the household name. So there might be a little bit of that, like, hey, Emily Blunt's like, I got to get in on some of this Marvel money, because I totally missed the boat on that Black Widow stuff.
She has scheduling conflicts, right? She couldn't do it because she's doing other projects.
Yeah, so, I mean, right now, there's nothing, hopefully, I'm sure stuff is still scheduled for the future. We don't really know what the full schedule is of, a bunch of movies we don't know about. But, as far as John Krasinski, I think Reed Richards would be kind of perfect. I'm sure, he's good with dialogue, so I'm sure he could do like the really smart, uber technological, ridiculously intelligent stuff. And they're just adding stretch to him. He's got the build. He's got the, he's thin enough but muscular enough that it makes sense.
You just have to do
unless they switch it and make him Dr. Doom. But to me, he's too nice. He's like
you can't remove the
Jim Halpert.
He's him. When he's Mr. Fantastic, he's gonna make it a joke. He's like, "Oh, I used to work in an office. We used to sell these weird items.
I used to put a guy's office supplies in Jello."
If they don't make one office reference joke, they have wasted him in that show. Whatever they do.
I don't know. It's Marvel. Like, I was waiting. I'm still waiting for, which now will never happen. They had Robert Downey Jr., Benedict Cumberbatch. They had, like, basically the two Sherlock Holmes and the two Watsons. They had Jude Law for Captain Marvel. They had all of them there. They didn't make one reference to Sherlock Holmes. So, never know. But I think it would be...
Office is, like, off-screen popularity.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, I think if they're talking to him, like we know they've been talking multiple films. It's not, which I'm sure Marvel kind of does now with everybody, right? It's like, it's not, hey, we're gonna hire you for one film as the main actor. They're talking to him about multiple films, which to me begs the question: if it indeed is Fantastic Four and it is indeed Mr. Fantastic, which a lot of people kind of think it is, and I think more so are hoping it is. What do you think on your end? What do you think his overall story arc would be in that realm of the MCU, and kind of how the Fantastic Four fit in to the MCU, and maybe how they're introduced, or if they're doing multiple films, right? You got to think Fantastic Four films, possibly future Avengers films, or something along the lines of that, maybe cameo.
So he's going to take on the role of Tony Stark. Okay. He's going to be not necessarily the leader, but the one they will end up relying on for the technological solutions that they are going to need, and to kind of be like that moral compass that you kind of had with Cap, right? So he's kind of going to be able to fill both roles if done right, right? They're like, all right, Mr. Fantastic, like he does this, we know he has this, but I don't see him being the runner or the head of the Avengers, right? I still think T'Challa's going to do that. I think it's going to be more of a joint partnership with T'Challa and Reed, right? I think it's going to be more of like amicable, like, oh, Reed, you have this intelligence, like with my technology and that's available for me, we'll be able to do so much more. Like, let's work together and do all this. I think they're going to have to work together to defeat the common enemy, which is going to end up being Namor. I think Namor and Wakanda are going to end up going at it, and then eventually they're going to all join forces to fend off against something bigger, right?
Doom.
No. Doom. I don't think Doom is going to be a big enough villain for everybody to face off against. Yes, he's going to be a great Fantastic Four villain. I know Doom has the capability of doing that, but I think in a post-Thanos Infinity Gauntlet world, for the mainstream person or even the average fan that knows, like, oh, there's Galactus, there's all these other crazy big people, I don't think they're going to pick Doom to be enough. Doom might be like a bad they might need to team up with occasionally here and there, but generally speaking, he's going to be localized, I think. I think they're going to look at, whether it's Kang the Conqueror, because there's a lot of connections with Kang and Reed. That could be something they set up in the forefront. They have to fend off Galactus attack, not be him, but fend off a Galactus attack. That might be something. I think we're going to see more episodic adventures of these grand scales instead of dealing with, oh, we're all leading up to Thanos and then we beat Thanos and then we're done. I think they've realized that that's too much of a closed-ended solution. Like, oh, we fend off with the Galactus attack. Okay, what's next? Because they know Galactus isn't a big bad because there's other stuff working. I think now, like, if we're looking at, like, a pathway, right? For the longest time, MCU was on a single pathway. But now I think we're going to be able to branch off in different directions, where just because one storyline ends doesn't mean the whole of the MCU is on that line. There's so many other things they can do. So I think him setting up to fight the Namor, eventually Galactus fend off, and then Kang. I think Reed is going to allow the pathways of the MCU to grow.
I agree with that a little bit. I think the pathways are going to split as far as like, hey, Fantastic Four have to do this, X-Men have to do this, your cat's killing everything. The rest of the Avengers are doing this or solo films, but I think everything comes back together for the threat, right? And I think that's the point of the entire like kind of vision of these movies franchises, where like, yeah, Cap was over here doing this, worried about Bucky and trying to figure out that, but then he came back in Avengers. Tony was doing this, and then they split and they had their argument and they're living different lives, but they had to come back to face this common enemy. I don't think Kang is the answer. I think Kang personally is a one-time villain, kind of like how they did Ultron. Even though I would have liked to see more of Ultron. Kang to me is very specific. He is a time jumper. He goes forward and back in time, and he's very strong. And
but he's an Avengers level threat. You agree, right?
100%.
An Avengers movie. Okay.
Yeah, 100% Avengers level threat. Yeah, I just don't think he's a multiple movie guy because it's time. It's all going back in time, going forward in time. It's a lot to do. And as you know, we already kind of saw that in Endgame, right, where they're going through time and stuff. May open the door for Kang. But I don't know if Kang is that lasting threat. Again, I'm not Kevin Feige. I'm not a genius. But I think you can build Doom up as the normal kind of Fantastic Four villain alone. Like, hey, he's the villain of the Fantastic Four. And grow him into that God Doom person that becomes Phase 2's Thanos. Because Doom, in the comics, is stronger than Thanos. He basically goes to the edge of time and the universe and all things and gives them the middle finger and destroys it. Right?
Yeah, and he gets to that level.
Yeah, I think they're going to go towards more of a Secret Wars in this era, which gives you a couple things, right? Spider-Man's huge in Secret Wars, black suit. They're building up Spider-Man. He's going to be, I think, in my opinion, the new face of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the way he was kind of the face of Marvel Comics forever.
Could be.
Depending on if they have him cameo in Venom. The black suit Spider-Man thing's very good. It's going to be really easy to do by the time you get to Secret Wars. Doom is the villain of Secret Wars. You can do the Battle World. It's world ending. It's changing the landscape. It's different than Thanos' snap, but it's still that threat where it's like, holy crap, what are we doing here? Reed Richards is going to be really important in that. Fantastic Four, the X-Men, you know, if they do the Battle World where everyone's kind of split up and how do they break through and then get back together, that'd be really cool. It gives you the X-Men, it gives you the Fantastic Four, it gives you the Avengers, but it's really focused more on Spider-Man's story.
So let me ask you a question. With going back to John Krasinski, because we just kind of took the idea of him being fantastic, Mr. Fantastic, and ran with it implications. Before we move on to the next topic and wrap up our thoughts on John, do you have any ideas or suggestions on who he might be if he was casted as a villain? Right? Like, obvious choice, I'm thinking, all right, I would love to see him as Kang, but I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't really have a villain choice in mind that I can think of. I was wondering if you may have. Like, who do you think would be a good villain for him?
I don't really see him as a villain. I see him as kind of a nice guy, but, you know, he's always kind of put himself in that position in his career so far. Like, you know, Quiet Place, he's kind of like the hero dad. And, you know, obviously The Office, he's Jim Halpert. He's the nice guy who's also kind of weird and creepy in the beginning.
He has a show on Amazon, right? And he's
Jack Ryan. Great show. Jack Ryan, he's another hero. Great show, badass. I maybe more of an anti-hero if he really had to choose something like that, or if he wanted to go villain just to kind of broaden his horizon. But I think, honestly, I can't really see anything but Mr. Fantastic at the moment. I can't see him as Doom. I can't see him as Galactus. I can't see him as Kang either, really. I can't really see him as Silver Surfer, kind of being like the median, just the messenger.
I can see him as a great Silver Surfer. That's a good album. I know you don't, but I can see it.
Maybe they'd have to kind of give him the cap, and they'd have to mocap the hell out of him. But I don't know. I don't really see him so much as the anti-hero villain, more so than the hero role. I think that just kind of plays to his strong suits. But you never know, all right? Like, actors surprise us every day with roles that they take, and it's like, oh, sure. And they could do that. But I think he would be really good as Mr. Fantastic. Like you said in the beginning, I think you're 100% correct. I think he's going to be the Tony Stark of this next phase of movies, right? You need that super genius who's kind of also in the action. Fantastic Four is going to be dead center. I think he would totally be the Tony mixed with the Cap morality. I don't know if they're going to do the kids right away and do the dad stuff because I don't think it's necessary personally for the movies. But I
now until Spider-Man's a little older, and then he could always team up with them.
Exactly, and then you have Johnny Storm in the comics and Peter Parker are very close friends. So you can have him cameo with Peter. Spider-Man could show up, help him with some tech stuff or whatever, and kind of be that next mentor level that Tony was to him too. I think you're going to see kind of a renaissance of the Fantastic Four in these films because it seems like it's going to be like, hey, they're going to be dead center because the Avengers are there, but without your Captain America and Iron Man, it's going to be a completely different landscape.
All right, guys, that's our thoughts on John Krasinski potentially joining Marvel, and our theories on castings. We want to know who you think he could be possibly cast as. If you're on the same boat with us and we think the obvious Mr. Fantastic, thank you. But we definitely want to hear your weird and out-of-the-box fan castings. I think it'll be such a cool thing. Let us know down in the comments below. We really appreciate it.